All right, next game, Shane, I wanted to ask you about Alabama at home this week playing an Arkansas team on the rise, number 21 in the new playoff poll. Alabama's won 13 in a row in this series, but I think that if anything, the last couple weeks has shown us that Alabama, I just don't think they're on top of their game right now. Whereas, yes, they've had a terrific streak here against the Razorbacks, but I think you could argue this is the best Arkansas team of that entire streak coming into Tuscaloosa. Going on the road will be incredibly tough, but Arkansas does have some pieces like Treylon Burks. He's going to be a nightmare. KJ Jefferson is playing. He's the reason they won that LSU game, just the plays he was able to make. And I know this is a very, very tough ask, but if Arkansas can win the ground game, because that's what LSU did, that's what Florida did, and those were some dogfights there that Alabama found themselves in, is there any path you see to the Razorbacks pulling off a stunning upset? And, of course, I'm not asking you to pick the game right here, but I don't know, Shane. I just think this is going to be the most competitive Arkansas-Alabama game we have seen in a number of years. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and two words, Mike, and this is one of Nick Saban's famous quotes is rat poison. And if you turn on anything, man, I will say this, got to go over to my mother-in-law's today. We celebrated her birthday. She's been on this earth for more than 70 years. It was a great experience, but in the background there at that house, they had the old Paul Feinbaum going. And I swear, for 20 minutes, they just talked about the Georgia-Alabama matchup in the SEC championship. That's all that's going on. That's all that's in their minds. It's the rat poison right now. That's what hurts, I think, Alabama is, hey, we've already made it. We're going to the SEC championship. Win that game, we're in the college football playoffs. Win a couple, we're national champs again. I think the problem with Alabama is sometimes they have a tendency to look forward. I think they did it with Tennessee. I think they came prepared with Ole Miss. Right. Everybody said Ole Miss is going to give them a fit, and you saw Alabama stepped on them. Texas A&M, man, they're really struggling. They overlooked them. It was a close game, and then they end up losing it. So. Right. You look at some of these, the LSU, that's another one, man. Just another one that they were supposed to dominate. They overlooked it. Next thing you know, it's a one-possession game. That's what scares me about Alabama is sometimes they just think they deserve a win. They just don't come out hitting on all cylinders like they should. And you cannot do that with the Arkansas Razorbacks, man. You got Arkansas that is coming off a huge win with the LSU. They got the Golden Boot, man. Momentum's at an all-time high right now. These guys are ready. They're ready to play Alabama. They think they've played good teams, man. They've played Georgia. They've played Ole Miss. They've played good teams, so they're not afraid to go against. Of course, I picked two that they lost. I guess maybe those aren't the best examples, but Alabama isn't any better than Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So the nervousness, I think, is off. You've already lost the games. You have nothing to lose. Arkansas has nothing to lose. They're expected to lose this game, and I think that's the biggest thing. You got somebody that has nothing to lose. Those are the ones you should be scared of. And here you got Alabama already thinking about SEC championship. So, yeah, I think that's my biggest concern for Crimson Tide is just overlooking the game.
Yeah, and you asked me last time about the injuries to Alabama. Roydale Williams, running back, out. They haven't given a significant a specific timeline, but they say he's out for a significant amount of time, so that's terrible. Jace McClellan, he's already out for the year, I do believe they've announced. So that makes it sound like it's going to be Trey Sanders time, Shane. We've been waiting for Trey Sanders to break out, and that's Alabama for you. You're down to your third stringer. Oh no, what are you going to do? Oh yeah, he was number one overall running back. He's the next Alvin Kamara. So we'll see if Trey Sanders he had a good performance last week, but that was against New Mexico State. Let's see what he can do against Arkansas. And one player they do got, Shane, no one else got someone as good as old Will Anderson, the outside linebacker. He's picking up Heisman buzz, 11 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, 58 tackles. He is someone Nick Saban and Sam Pittman had to talk about in their weekly pressers because he's just that damn good.
With Will Anderson, how does a player like that with a skill set has changed the way an offensive team game plans or schemes they're blocking?
Yeah, well, I think Will's done an outstanding job. He's a good player. He plays hard. Um, I think the important thing is that you have complementary players that if they do try to scheme him, that other players can, take up the slack and, give you pressure in other areas, which I think some of our players have done a good job of. So, yes, I think that's possible. But I think we need to definitely have other guys be able to rush and do a good job in other areas, which, has kind of happened on our team.
Yeah, now that you're down to two healthy scholarship running backs, I mean, how does that affect or maybe change things potentially with how you approach things offensively?
Well, I don't think, you can change a lot. We've worked a couple other guys there for over a month now. Those guys are functional at the position. Probably look for somebody else on our team that maybe we could sort of develop into being a functional player from an emergency standpoint if we need them. But I don't really think that we can change right now. We certainly have to have a plan if we have any more issues at that position.
Hey, Coach, just sticking with running backs, just have you seen Trey Sanders progress, and how important is it going to be for him to step up now with Roydell out?
Well, I think it's, he's got a great opportunity. I thought he played well in the game. It was good to, get him some touches in the game. I think he understands the offense well, and I think he's a very capable guy. And, now that he's going to have a more significant role, it's time, for him to, take advantage of that opportunity as well. But we have every confidence that he can do that very well for us.
Hey, usually when Arkansas plays Alabama, Alabama's number one. This year they're all the way down to number two.
Do they look? Played number one.
Yeah. Well, Arkansas's played number one twice in some seasons. Did they look any? They lost 3 Heisman finalists. I guess they're quarterbacks. Do they look any different to you? Do they look a little more vulnerable?
No. Very, very talented. They have elite skill, big offensive and defensive linemen. They have an elite pass rusher, more than one. No, I mean they're Alabama. I mean they're when you turn on the film, they're what you expect to see. I mean you have to go out there down there and play a really, really good football game and see what happens. But LSU played them close because LSU's got a lot of talent, and they're playing hard now and physical, and that's how you beat Alabama. If not many people can, but you're going to have to get into a fist fight and see if you can come out ahead, and you're going to have to hang on to the ball. You have to play a really, really good game to have a chance, especially on the road against Alabama.
And then Stevens, he might be the number one offensive guy in the country in a lot of people's minds. Anderson, number one defensive guy. What is Anderson doing to get all those sacks specifically, and what really impresses you about Young?
I really like what they do with him. They move him some, but they do a lot of what I call behind the center blitzes. So they'll take him all the way behind the center. They'll take him into the A gap. He has so much speed, so the tackle. This week our tackles really, really have to have a good week of practice, because if you set wide on him, it's over. I mean, he's going to come in, he's going to beat it. You don't have time to exchange the 3 technique. Back in the old days, 3s used to run and then get contained. Now it's just straight up the field. Basically what they're trying to do is pick the tackle and not give the guard time to come off, and he's so fast. So it's not only that he's a great one-on-one rusher, which he is, but it's because of all the multiple things they do, knowing that he's a guy. They set him up real nice too, and of course everybody would if you had that kind of talent.
It really has been since like 2011 the most Arkansas teams going to Alabama just ain't got no chance. Do you feel the success you all have had maybe gives the team a little different attitude going into this game?
Well, we have a chance. I mean, the number one thing, and I know it might be considered coach speak or whatever, the number one thing you have to do to go beat a team is believe you can do it. And, if you've got a whole plane full of guys that are going, man, when's this game over? You don't have a chance, and we all probably in high school, or we all been on that team that goes, I wish we wouldn't have drawn this team. That's the number one thing. I'll go back to look at my first year here in 2013, and we got beat 50-0, I think, or something like that by Alabama, and then the next year we got beat by a point. Now, things happen and different things during the game, like all that. But the number one difference to me was we had a team full of guys that believed that they could win. And I think success of our program that we've had, however you view it, whether it's been a lot or a little bit or some or none, our kids, it's helped them confident-wise of going in there, hey, we've beaten some, pretty good teams this year, and we know how good Alabama is, but it gives us confidence that we can go in there and play well.